Good morning. Breaking news. Found alive. Rescue workers free a survivor 17 days after that tragic building collapse in Bangladesh. Developing now, new details this morning on what the man charged in the Cleveland kidnappings has allegedly told his interrogators. Sources describing his demeanor as cocky and saying he showed no remorse.
And crowning achievement, we're live at the top of One World Trade Center. 6 years in the making, and workers are about to raise the final two sections of the Spire, making it the tallest building in the Western Hemisphere. An historic moment today, Friday, May 10th, 2013.
From NBC News, this is a special edition of Today with Matt Lauer and Savannah Guthrie in Studio 1A.
And good morning, everyone. Welcome to this special edition of Today on a Friday morning. And wow, take a look at the view from a crane about 105 stories up on the top of One World Trade Center, a building that is so significant to the people here in New York and all across the country. And Savannah, it is a stunning, stunning morning. I'm back 1,500 feet in the air, and you're down at sea level. Savannah, good morning to you.
Well, Matt, I hope you're not afraid of heights. Sometimes you have to go to great lengths to witness history, and you are going to see something, we're all going to see something really momentous in this next hour.
We are. You know, we've been given unprecedented access by the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey, and in just a couple of minutes, I'm going to get to give a signal, and history will take place. The workers here on a crane are going to lift the final two sections of the Spire, sections 17 and 18. They'll lift it to the top of what has already been constructed, 1,701 feet in the air, and then they'll gently place those sections down, 75 feet of sections, and this building will soar to a height of 1,776 feet. So symbolic, so significant, and as I said, it will become the tallest building in the Western Hemisphere. And Savannah, I don't know how you feel about heights, but I do want to say, I just want to give you a sense of where I'm standing. I'm on a platform right on the edge, and take a look down. 105 stories down. If you don't like heights, this isn't the place to be this morning, but we are going to have some amazing sights and sounds for you coming up, Savannah.
If my stomach is doing somersaults, I don't know what yours is doing, Matt. Hold on tight to that. No, put your hand back on that railing, please. We'll check back in with you in a moment, and we will be witnessing history. Incredible, incredible moment. All right, Ann Curry in Istanbul for us this morning. Thank you. Let us take a turn. We're going to go back to Matt, who is high atop One World Trade Center. Matt, the view's looking pretty good.
It's not bad, Savannah. You can see Lady Liberty down in the harbor behind me. Just to the right, that's Ellis Island on a spectacular Friday morning here in the New York area. Now back to tell you where I am. I'm walking on what feels to me to be a bit of a precarious little catwalk. I'm on one of the cranes, one of two cranes on the top of One World Trade Center. Now to my right is the second crane. That one is a little bit taller. It has to be, because in just a few minutes, as I give the signal, that crane will begin to lift the final two sections of the Spire. Those sections are just down alongside me right now. They're about 75 feet in length. The top is the beacon that will be able to be seen by about 50 miles in any direction on a clear day. And then what'll happen is they'll lift that section up, or those sections up, and they'll lower them down to those iron workers on the very top there, 1,701 feet above sea level. How about those guys from Local 40? They'll guide it into place and then bolt it together so it doesn't go anywhere. And below me here, you can see some members of the trades, some union members here who've been so much a part, Savannah, of this building process. Over the last 6.5 years, there will be applause, there will be tears shed when that moment is reached in a little while. Meanwhile, it has been a very long journey since 9/11, through a lot of the controversy over this project. To fill us in more on that, Ann Thompson is across the way. She is over in New Jersey. Ann?
Good morning, Matt. No matter where you stand, whether you're in the tower as you are, or you're beneath it, or you're across the river like I am, this building is a spectacular sight, and it means something to every American, from the daily commuter to the workers who built the building to the victims' families. From the tragedy and the rubble of that horrible September day has risen a new beginning. We got an up-close and personal look at the tower a year and a half ago, when it was only 76 floors high, beams still being hoisted, and the heat of blowtorches cooled by the open air of the New York City sky.
Wow.
Many of the workers have been here since the towers fell, and for them, this became a personal crusade.
You have a little bit of your life and soul embedded into that building right there.
And for the victims' families whose hearts remain here, though they watch the tower rise from afar, it's a mix of emotions. Jim Riches was a New York City fire chief on 9/11, and among his fellow firefighters lost that day was his own son, Jimmy.
It's great to see something built back up, but for us, there'll never be closure. My son's never going to walk back in that door. This is the place where he died.
Rosellen Dowdell's husband, Kevin, was in the South Tower when it collapsed.
My husband's remains were never found, so this is where he is buried. This is his final resting place. The building is a symbol of a coming back.
It's also a coming back for Janelle Guzman McMillan. She was the last survivor pulled from the rubble.
Maybe it's a little bittersweet, but what they have done of rebuilding the building, I think it's great.
She's told her kids about what happened to her and so many others that day, and hopes to eventually take them to visit.
They understand, and they keep asking me that we should go back one day, even just to walk by the side, but I want it to be all done, and then I'll take them there.
I drove in from the airport the other night, and for the first time I looked at the lower Manhattan skyline and smiled. That's the first time since 9/11, because the tower was lit up and suddenly that gaping hole that we had all come to expect was no longer there. It is not the same. It will never be the same. But Matt, it is progress.
It certainly is. Ann Thompson in Liberty National State Park this morning. Ann, thank you very much. Coming up, I will give the signal, and a crane will lift the final sections of the spire. A crowning achievement on this symbol of renewal and hope, and we'll watch it live. But first, this is Today on NBC.
"7:30 now on a Friday morning, a picture-perfect day in Lower Manhattan, and we are just moments away from watching history live on our air. The One World Trade Center spire will be lowered into place, 1,776 feet in the air, a number loaded with symbolism and meaning for this country. And Matt is 104 floors up or so, and he will have the honor of kicking off what has to be an incredibly delicate operation, Matt, and one that is certainly loaded with meaning for all Americans.
Oh, Savannah, I mean, imagine the family members of those who lost their lives on 9/11, not only the people who worked at the World Trade Center, but those heroic first responders who rushed into danger and lost their lives because of what happened here. And over the last, 11 years or so, or 12 years, they've watched what's happened at this site. Sometimes it's been painfully slow, but over the last 6+ years, it's moved at quite a pace. And so many people have put their heart and their soul into this progress or this process. And they're going to get to see the crowning achievement in a couple of minutes. By the way, the guy who gets to actually have the honor of lowering the final two sections of the spire into place, he's up in the crane just above me here. He's with the Operating Engineers Local 14. That's John Schaffner in the cab, and it's a delicate process. He'll pick this 75-foot piece of spire up, lift it above what's already in place, and then gently, ever so gently, lower it to those iron workers from Local 40 up on the crow's nest, and they will then bolt it into place. Now, guys like that have a tough commute to work every morning. They get up very early, and boy, it is not easy to get here. I found that out firsthand just a couple of hours ago, Savannah. Got it, thank you.
There was no napping on my way to work this morning.
I caught an express elevator to the roof, and I was lucky. Usually the tower crew has to take 3 elevators to the top, a 30 to 45-minute commute just inside the building. Needless to say, these days, they brown bag lunch. At the top, my workout begins. I have to climb 9 ladders, about 20 stories, to reach my post on the crane platform.
If you don't like ladders, you can't come here.
Over 1,500 feet off the ground. I can't imagine doing this every day, though for the crane operators, the view from their corner office is priceless.
Okay, we made it to the top. Just in time for sunrise. Where's the Starbucks?
It really is an incredible journey. It's harrowing at times. I'm not afraid of heights, but I found my knees knocking at certain times. This is Scott Reckler. He is the Vice Chairman of the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey. Scott, first of all, thank you so much for your hospitality.
Thank you.
Talk to me about the significance of today.
Well, this really is a symbolic moment because this building really represents the resiliency of this country. You know, these people, the thousands of men and women that have worked here tirelessly, have done it really as a passionate tribute for the people that perished on 9/11 right on this site.
Yeah, I know a lot of the workers have the 9/11 sticker on their helmets, and they have been waiting for this moment for 12 years, but certainly the last 6.5 that they've been building this building. So Scott, can we do this?
Let's do it. I think we're ready. Let's bring it up.
If John Schaffner up in the cab is ready, if these guys down below are ready, let's have the crowning achievement. And now what'll happen is John will start to lift this 75-foot long section, 2 sections actually, of the spire. These 2 sections combined, Savannah, weigh about 40 tons. You can see, I think, as this section starts to lift, you can see the beacon, which is right here in the center. That's a very technically advanced beacon that when it's in place and operating can be seen for 50 miles in any direction, Savannah, on a clear day.
And I think I heard some applause for some of the workers. The people have just poured their hearts into this project. And as we watch this moment unfold, Matt, I got to tell you, it is impossible to not have a lump in your throat right now.
Well, you know, these people got up here. A lot of the folks on the platform below us, again, we are above the roof. We are on a platform that's part of the crane above the roof of One World Trade Center. These people just wanted to be here this morning, and I would imagine down on the ground there are a lot of other trades members, union members who've had some role in the construction of this building. They are probably gathered down there, and there will be a huge piece of applause when this thing is finally lowered into place. They tell me that this, because it is such a delicate operation, imagine what would happen. I have to tell you, weather was important here. If the wind was too high, they couldn't have done it, because you start to get a 40-ton section of spire swinging because of the wind. That is a very bad situation. They're going to lift it straight up. But when they do, they'll get it above the 1,701-foot section that's already in place. They'll lower it down to those iron workers, and then they'll bolt it in place. And that's when you'll hear the applause, Savannah and Natalie. That is when these people will let some of their emotions go.
Well, it is a moment loaded with emotion. And Matt, forgive me if you mentioned this already, but how long do we think this process will take?
It's about a 10 to 15 minute process. You know, they have to do this carefully. It'll take about 6 or 7, 8 minutes to get this above what's already there. Then they have to make sure it's lined up exactly right. By the way, as the bottom of these sections pass us right now, I can tell you that what they did initially is they lifted it up off the platform here, and they checked it very carefully to make sure there was no debris, nothing extra stuck to that mounting bracket area, so that there would be anything less than a perfect fit. And then they put those 60 bolts in and tighten them. They're heavy. I actually held one of them in my hands a short time ago, and they'll make sure that thing is absolutely secure, Savannah.
Well, we will wait and watch. You stay right there. I know you're not going anywhere. Matt, we'll check in with you in a moment, but for now we want to check in with Al. He's in Maryland, and give us another check of the weather. You can report back. I know. All right. Thank you so much. We'll check back in with you. Let's check in with Matt, who is down at the One World Trade Center site witnessing history. What do you see, Matt?
Yeah, it's going great here, Savannah. These 2 sections of the spire are now probably a couple of 100 feet above us. They're going straight up There was a moment, I will tell you, about 5 seconds ago where it looked like it was starting to swing a little bit. Talk about the skill and precision that a guy like John Schaffner in that cab has to employ at this time. It's got to be so steady. You can't get that thing moving in any bad direction. You don't want it to even nick slightly the existing structure here. It's probably getting up to about 20, 30 feet from where those iron workers from Local 40 are right now. It will be raised above them. Then the crane will swing a little bit, putting it directly above them. They'll check it one last time, and then John Schaffner will slowly begin to lower it. You saw it has a square mounting bracket at the bottom with lots of holes for those bolts. They will literally slide that thing perfectly into place and then quickly begin to bolt it into place. And it will be the crowning achievement of this project, Savannah, that's taken so long, the planning. And there were so many disagreements here after 9/11. What should be done with this site? Should it remain a memorial? Should there be any buildings here? Who would finance it? What was the design? Should there be 2 towers or 1? Well, all that was put aside. The rebuilding began, and everybody came together, especially these people here who've made this possible, Savannah.
And it's going to mean so much to so many people, not least of whom those who were a part of this process of placing that spire there, this delicate work as you've described it. This is a job that is not for the faint of heart. Matt, how is it that they're the ones chosen to do this task?
Well, John Schaffner, luck of the draw. He's the operator of this crane, so it falls on him. There was another. The crane I think I'm on is the one that actually lifted these 2 sections from the ground. Imagine that trip, bringing it up 105 stories and then setting it here on the roof. But John Schaffner's the guy who operates that crane, so he gets the honor. By the way, I was told something I thought was really poignant earlier. A lot of the guys you see down here, the tradesmen and women who actually built this building, their fathers built the original trade center. And some of their grandfathers have been in this business for a long time. They may have actually built the Empire State Building, blocks to our north here. This is in their DNA. It runs in their families.
And this is hallowed ground for this country, of course, needless to say. Matt, as you're watching, what are you seeing?
Here, Savannah. Yeah. Well, they've got that thing. They have swung it now directly over the existing structure. So again, 75 feet. 2 sections of the spire about to be lowered down directly. They're spinning it right now. I can see it. It will attach to the 1,701 feet already in place. And that's when this building becomes 1,776 feet tall. So symbolic, obviously, the year that the 13 colonies declared their independence, but so significant because so many people said you could never build a building like this in Lower Manhattan again. And you know what? These folks have proved everybody wrong.
No question about it.
I think we'll get some kind of a signal from those iron workers when they feel they've got this in place, and then you'll hear some clapping from my level and the level below us here. And as I said, if we had a camera down there, we've only got our camera up here, Billy Angelucci, but I would imagine if you could be down there, you're going to see a lot of tears in the eyes of those brave men and women.
And I think we'll hear some applause again as this moment in history unfolds right here live. And Matt, if people are just tuning in, just take us through it one more time. This is a spire, and you mentioned the symbolic 1,776 feet. What will this spire actually do? I mean, it's a broadcast antenna, as I understand it.
Well, not only is it an architectural feature of this building, I got Kevin Murphy with me right now. It's one of the key figures in all of this, and it's also very important for broadcast operations. Kevin, take a look at the camera there.
Yeah,
I mean, this is a broadcast antenna as well.
Yes, I mean, this is a great day for all of us here today. Great day. I mean, the guys couldn't be any more pride, couldn't be more excited about what's going on. All the years of planning, they're coming right now. These guys are doing a heck of a job. Couldn't ask for a better day.
Yeah, when those buildings went down back on September 11th in 2001, Savannah, remember the antennas on the top are the antenna on the top that service so many broadcast outlets and facilities here in this area. went down as well. So this is a chance to get back in business when it comes to broadcasting from Lower Manhattan. So it's not only architectural, it's extremely functional as well. Again, this doesn't go up and doesn't become operational this morning. There's still a lot of work to be done on this building. They still have to frame out the top section. They'll hand over the keys to some of the tenants in 2014. So there's a ways to go. But in terms of the height of the building, the superstructure of the building, this is the crowning achievement today, Savannah.
So many Americans, when they come to New York City, make this a stop that they have to make because, as we mentioned, this is hallowed ground. And just for those who aren't as aware of the geography of this area, Matt, where this new One World Trade Center sits, it is not the exact place where the original towers were. It's just slightly north of there, right?
It's just a little bit north. I mean, if anybody had the opportunity, and if you haven't, I recommend it, to come down and see the memorial that was built here and opened a couple of years ago. That's basically, those are the footprints, those pools are the footprints of what was the World Trade Center. This is just to the north. It's called One World Trade Center. For a while they called it Freedom Tower. They changed it to One World Trade Center, but it's all part of the complex that was the World Trade Center. A museum is being constructed. That should open in the near future. And as I said, this will be, I read somewhere this could end up being the tallest only office structure in the world. Again, the third tallest building in the Western Hemisphere. Second will be the Willis Tower in Chicago. Third will be the Trump International Hotel, also in Chicago. But New York gets to brag again. The tallest building in the Western Hemisphere is located right here in Lower Manhattan.
And Matt, this is Natalie here. A lot of people here in studio just riveted watching this, and we all have goosebumps, I have to tell you, just seeing this as it is happening. A very emotional experience for a lot of people who, of course, remember so clearly what happened on that day on September 11th, 2001. I mean, you remember covering it. How does this hit you, seeing this happen?
And not only covering, but I was born in New York, and so there's a certain sense of personal pride that goes along with this. I think it's going to be incredibly emotional. I'm listening. Kevin's got his walkie-talkie here, and I just heard over it they're saying coming down, meaning this thing is lowering into place, and apparently it's in right now. Some down there chanting USA. They're clapping. This is now in place. 1776. This building has risen to new heights. The rebirth and the rebuilding of Lower Manhattan, and such a wonderful moment, and we can't thank the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey enough for letting us witness it and be a part of it live.
How can you not have a lump in your throat, a tear in your eye, and a smile on your face after everything that has happened on that ground, to see this tower soar once again, and along with it our hearts, Matt. Really amazing, and so many people have poured their efforts into this, poured their planning into it. It's amazing to see this moment happen.
And let's just remember the people who lost their lives on that day, and the first responders.